Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Brittany, your friendly plant-loving internet stranger, back with another video. I am joined by all of the plants today. This is not all of the plants, but this is a lot of the plants. And they're on the kitchen island because it is time for a bath for the plants, not for me. And I'm about to water all of them, most of them. I only brought up one large tray. I keep these aluminum pans to serve as like watering. When I'm watering my plants, they catch the water since I have so many plants. And I need to go grab a couple more of those, but I'm gonna water these plants. I might actually walk you through some of them because some of them have some pretty significant, have had some significant growth, or I have some updates on them. Hopefully the audio is okay. I'm gonna try to project my voice because I'm not turning the air off. It's just too hot for that. But yeah, I want to just give a quick, or not so quick, update on some of the plants, and they need to be watered. There are some that were in the window that I needed to water like last weekend. I was going to water and I was going to film, and I was not in the mood to set the camera up, so I was like, I can just let the plants stay thirsty and, you know, deprive them of water until I feel like setting up my camera. So probably not the best idea, but it's fine. The plants are still alive and kicking and green, and I'm going to give them some water. And the one I was actually talking about that was like the most dehydrated, maybe, I'm not going to say it's not fine, but it's definitely a little crispy. It is this Cebu Blue. I repotted this a few videos ago. I'll link it if I can remember which video it was a part of. I don't think it was its own video. I think it was like part of a planty vlog. But yeah, this one is, I think, enjoying this pot. This is the new pot that I put it in. I think it's enjoying the pot. It's just not enjoying the fact that it's been thirsty. So you see there are some brown leaves. And this is not a big deal for me. It's not a big deal because there are so many other green leaves and the vine is pretty long. And there's new growth forming, like there's some new growth there. But yeah, I normally let my plants, if they have a leaf that's browning or something, I will just let the leaf completely brown so that the plant can suck all of the nutrients out of the leaf that's dying. And that usually happens when there's new growth forming. So like on this plant, for example, there are several new leaves forming. There's actually a burn mark. Interesting. I wasn't expecting to see that because the window that I have it in is not, I don't even know if you could see that, but I'll get a better clip of it. The window that I have this plant in is west. So it's possible that it is getting a little bit of southern exposure. I'm just kind of surprised that it actually burned its leaves. But either that or the plant is diseased and it's slowly dying. So I guess we'll see in a few months, which it was. In that same window, I have this Hoya. I mess around with this plant enough where I should know its name. And I always confuse the two Hoyas. So the crinkle leaf Hoya, not the crinkle leaf one, the one with the folded egg roll, not egg roll. The one with the folded, almost like three-dimensional fortune cookie type leaves. I forget what that one is called. Compacted, I think. I always confuse the names of the Hoya. This one I think is Crimson Queen. It's either Crimson Queen or Pink Princess. I might have made one of those up. I feel like I made up Pink Princess, but it sounds cute, so this is her, the princess or the queen. The pink on this plant is so pretty, and occasionally it will get these like really pink leaves, and this one has a couple really pink ones, and that makes me happy. Like, one of the nice parts about this plant parenthood stuff for me, one exciting thing is seeing the plants reach their full potential, their fullest potential, you know. Like, I know what the internet tells me this plant looks like in the wild and what it looks like when it's happy as a houseplant and it has really pink leaves, or it has like pink leaves. Maybe they're not like really pink, but they have pretty significantly pink leaves. And this is such a happy looking plant to me that it makes me happy when I look at it, because I know that it's healthy and it is, you know, it's got a few really pink leaves and it's just cute. It's just a pretty plant. There's another plant that lives in that window too, and it is my homegirl Rhaphidophora. If you've been watching these videos for a little while, you know that I did repot Rhaphidophora here. What is it called? Philodendron Rhaphidophora? I might have made that up. Or is it just Rhaphidophora? I don't know these plant names, but I know it's a Rhaphidophora because I was having some issues with the pronunciation of this plant back when I repotted it into this pot. But it also sits in the same window with the Hoya and the Cebu Blue, and it does have one brown leaf that it just looks like, you know, was a dying leaf, and again, like I mentioned, the plant just like sucked all of the nutrients out of it, and it's thirsty. Like the leaves are clearly a little limp and curling a little bit, so it'll perk back up once I water it. But it's been doing really good in this pot since I planted it, and it's got a bunch of little babies in there too, which is exciting to see because the leaves are so small and cute, and it's an indicator that, you know, the plant is healthy. So I'm happy about that. A few videos ago, I also chopped up this, well, you can't see it because it's just a little stump now, but this is the Dieffenbachia or dumb cane. This plant I cut up. It was growing a little bit too tall for my liking, but this is the clipping of this Dieffenbachia, or this was the mother plant. I put her in this jar. It was a very tall stem, so I chopped up 3 mini stalks in here, and then the one tall stalk. And the tall stalk, I mean, it's tall relative to the other ones is what I mean. It did lose one leaf, and that's fine. I see some new leaves, or a new leaf forming here, and it has some pretty nice roots developing, so that's good to see. It looks like the stalks, I'm gonna be careful with the Dieffenbachia. You have to be careful because it does have it's a toxic plant, and so when you cut it, you don't want to touch the part, like the open wound of the plant, because the sap can like burn your skin, or it can poison animals and, you know, cause skin irritation. So I'm going to pull this out to show you what the root is looking like, but just know that this plant has been, I cut this like probably over a month ago at this point, or maybe a month ago, and the part where I cut it has totally calloused over, so it's not gonna hurt my skin if I touch it. But yeah, this is what these stalks, and they all kind of look the same. So they have a little tiny root sticking out there. Hopefully you can see that a little. So yeah, that's good progress for about a month. So I'm gonna change this water out and then just continue to let it grow and develop roots. I also have another dumb cane, and I honestly don't even remember when I cut this one up. It's got this random little scraggly vine in here. Oh, look, it's got roots. You know, this vine, I don't know what plant this is from. Sometimes I'll just like, for my plants, if they lose a leaf and it's got a node attached to it, or if they lose like a, what is this, a vine or something, or a stem, I'll put it in water if it looks like it might develop roots. And so this one fell from some plant. I can't even tell you which plant it was. And I was like, I'm just gonna stick it in the water because it might have come from my philodendron Brazil that I chopped up a little while ago actually. But the plant I was cutting didn't have leaves or something. It didn't have, this whole little stem didn't have any leaves. And I was like, well, I'll just see if this will grow into something, or if roots will form, and if I can, you know, grow a plant from this one. And so it does have some roots. That's pretty exciting to see. Again, I don't remember when exactly I put this in this water, but I mean, it was maybe a couple months, 2 or 3 months or something, or maybe longer than that. I honestly don't remember. So this is a Dieffenbachia from a different plant. This was not from this mother plant I just showed you. So this Dieffenbachia I cut up because it was starting to grow really tall and I didn't want that. This plant, the roots are so like wound up in there. I don't want to break the roots, and I'm not going to repot it right now, so I'm just going to leave it alone. But you can see like how big this root ball is. It's actually really, really cool. And I'm gonna clean this water out too. So speaking of plants that I have chopped up and have a mother plant and a baby plant, here is another mother. I think this is Mexican oregano, or I call it the Vicks plant. It's got a very like potent smell when you rub your fingers against it. That's very similar to Vicks. When I look it up online and Google like variegated Vicks plant, pictures of this pop up. I also have seen it as Cuban mint maybe. So I don't know if Cuban mint, Vicks plant, and Mexican oregano are all the same thing. If you know what this is, please tell me. It's got a very pungent smell, and the leaves are really pretty, but the leaves are prickly. Not prickly, but like furry, you know, like fuzzy, kind of hairy. One of those adjectives will get you what you need. So just please let me know what this plant is in the comments. Can I eat it? I don't know that I want to eat it because I feel like I've developed a relationship with this plant in particular. So eating it would feel weird to me. It's funny because I actually got this plant. I was out to dinner at a Mexican restaurant. Maybe it is Mexican oregano. Huh, it's all making sense now. I was at a Mexican restaurant sitting at the bar and this plant was on the bar. I just accidentally broke off a little piece of it, like a very, very small piece. Brought it home, put it in some water, and it didn't even have nodes or anything. I just put this random stem in some water, and roots, these really long, delicate roots started to form like almost immediately. Potted it up, it grew so much in a very short amount of time. Like this is really a fast grower. I started cutting it back and just propagating it repeatedly, and I had like a bunch of these plants and they were all growing so quickly and like becoming really full. And so I ended up giving my mother a clipping, and so I gave her a clipping, and then after I gave her a clipping, her plant had like developed into a full plant and she was like propagating it herself. My plant, the one that I had in my home, started to like decline and eventually like died, and I was like, I couldn't believe it because I had the plant for years at this point, and I had like gifted clippings of it. So when I went back to visit my family, she gave me a clipping, and so I brought the clipping back and then just kind of started this process all over again. So this is my new plant that came from my mother who had the clipping of my original plant. So it's just it's like a big circle of life plant situation right here that I'm holding in my hand. And so this plant started to grow out of control, and you can kind of see where I clipped some of the stems off and propagated it, and it's still growing, and you can see it just needs a bit more support now. It's kind of flopping over because it's like growing so well, and it's too tall for the sake now. I propagated this plant from this one. This is the mama, this is the baby. The baby is now going into some weird puberty phase and is all tall and without leaves. I don't know what's happening there. I don't know how we got here. So I'm gonna go ahead and chop this one up and then start over, but I'm gonna leave the stem at the bottom here so that this baby can do something else and not look so malnourished and in need of love. So I think that's probably all of the like plant updates I have for some of the more significant updates I wanted to share. Actually, no, I'm lying. Just a second. Remember I said I wasn't gonna buy any more plants unless I found the one plant that I said I wanted, which was the lemon maranta. Well, I found it. I only found one. I wanted two of them so that I could pot them together in this planter, this specific planter to match the red maranta that I have, but they didn't even have a planter in stock, and they only had one of these plants in stock. So I got this at a local plant boutique. It did have a little bit of brown on it. Dang, and it's kind of on 3 leaves. That's not great. But there's new growth, so maybe it's just a little bit of nasty that will go away at some point. So I'm gonna start watering now, and I will do a close-up just so you can see what they're looking like in a bit more detail. Yeah, I panicked for a second because all the pink leaves disappeared, but then I realized this is a different plant.